Good morning, momentum makers. I'm so happy you're here. Today, we are going to be talking about building family momentum. The school year doesn't become stressful on the first day of school. It starts with everything we don't prepare for beforehand. The bedtime that suddenly has to change, the morning alarm clock that nobody is ready for, the forms, the practices, the lunches, the homework, the transportation, the new expectations. And somehow, mom, we become the person who is supposed to remember all of it. Then school starts, and within a week, we're thinking, why does this already feel so hard? So today I want to help you change that. We're in August already, and so school is about to start real soon for a lot of us. So we're going to talk about, you know, not we're not going to just create a giant back to school checklist. We're not going to try to control every possible outcome, but by helping your whole family start building momentum before day one. Hello, I'm Stacy Johnson, a resilience and momentum specialist, and I guide overwhelmed moms to stop surviving and start building aligned momentum toward a calmer, connected, and abundant life. Welcome to Momentum Makers. If you're a busy mom who's tired of carrying the entire mental load of your family, you're in the right place. Today, we're going to be talking about how to prepare your family emotionally and practically for the transition back to school before everyone ends up in survival mode. There's something interesting about August. Part of us may be ready for school to start. You're ready for the routines again. You're ready for a little structure. Maybe you're even ready to have your house stay clean for longer than 5 minutes. But there's another part of you that's already thinking ahead. School supply list, clothes, schedules, teacher emails, sports, transportation, doctor appointments, lunches, homework, and suddenly you're mentally living 3 weeks ahead. This is where we can start moving into survival mode before school even begins. And survival mode often sounds like, I'll just do it. It's easier to pack the bag. It's easier to pack the bag myself. Forget it. I'll do it. It's faster to organize everything myself. It's easier to remember everyone's schedule myself. Except it's not easier because eventually, moms, we become the family operating system. I call ourselves the CEO of the household. Everyone else waits for you to tell them what comes next. And then we wonder why we're so exhausted. So, the first mindset shift I want you to make this year is back to school preparation is a family responsibility, not a mom responsibility. There's where we're going to start. So, before school begins, sit down with your family. Let's have a back to school family meeting. Nothing very elaborate, no PowerPoint presentation. Just grab dinner, sit around your kitchen table, maybe even make some popcorn and sit in your living room, whatever works for your family. And then, moms, you need to tell your family this. We're getting ready for a new school year. And I want us to talk about what will help our family have a calmer morning and evenings. Notice what you're doing? You're not walking into the meeting saying, here are the new rules. You're creating a community inside your own home. You're inviting your children to participate. And this is where curiosity becomes incredibly powerful. So you're going to ask, what was hard about mornings last year? You may be surprised by their answers. Ask them, what would make us late? What stressed everyone out? What would make mornings easier this year? What do you want more time for before school starts? Maybe your child would say, I hate when you're yelling in the morning. Maybe another child would say, I can never find my shoes. And maybe you realize everyone waits until morning to pack backpacks. Now, you're not blaming anyone, you're gathering information. That's one of the foundations in momentum makers. Curiosity instead of criticism. So instead of why can nobody in the house ever find anything, try we keep struggling with finding things in the morning. What could we change? What would make this easier for everyone? That's a completely different conversation. It's taking your family more in a forward momentum movement versus criticizing and yelling. So once you've talked about what didn't work, decide what you want mornings and evenings to look like. And keep this simple. You're not trying to create a military operation. You're creating expectations. So for example, maybe everyone agrees backpacks are packed before bed. Maybe shoes go by the door. Maybe phones stay off until everyone is ready. Maybe children choose clothes the night before. Maybe lunches get packed before bedtime. Maybe there's a specific bedtime on school nights. But here's something really important. Don't create 15 new expectations. That's not going to go well. Pick 3 or 4. Because when we try to change everything at once, we usually change nothing. That's not aligned momentum. Aligned momentum asks, what's the smallest change that can make the biggest difference? Maybe for your family, it's simply everything that leaves the house tomorrow goes by the door tonight. And that's enough to start. I know when my kids were younger in school, yeah, lunches were made the night before, backpacks were packed, and basically by the kitchen table because the door to go outside was close to that door. And always shoes were by the door, anyways, too. So that always helped us not feel that rushed kind of sense in the morning. So now let's talk about something I think almost every mom can relate to. Repeating yourself. Did you pack your backpack? Did you brush your teeth? Where are your shoes? Did you bring your Chromebook? Did you bring your charger? Did you put your lunch in your bag? And eventually you're irritated because you've asked 5 times or more. But your child also has learned something. They've learned, Mom will remind me. And then sometimes your child starts to get irritated because you're now irritating. Because every time you have to repeat yourself, you'll probably go up an octave higher. So then by the time you are getting to the 5th or 6th time, now you're yelling. And that response increases your child's emotions. And so now you might be arguing before you even get out the door. And none of you have left the day feeling connected. You feel irritated, and there's that lost connection. But they've also learned, even though they are frustrated, they're learning that Mom will remind me. So this is where accountability matters. Accountability isn't punishment. It isn't yelling. It isn't controlling. Accountability is helping our kids understand you have a role in how our family functions. For younger kids, maybe that's a visual checklist. For older kids, maybe it's a written list or a phone reminder. The older kids have them, so they can put it in their notes of what they need to do before bed and in the morning, instead of you verbally reminding them 7 times. The system reminds them. And if your child forgets something, sometimes we allow the natural consequence because constantly rescuing our children doesn't always teach responsibility. We want to gradually move from mom manages everything to everyone manages what they're capable of managing. And that's how children develop confidence. And it's also how we moms begin getting some of our mental space back. So don't confuse accountability with control. This is important because sometimes when we're overwhelmed, we begin trying to control outcomes. We think if everyone would just do exactly what I tell them, everything will go smoothly. But parenting doesn't work that way. Life doesn't work that way. Your child may still forget something. That happens. They may still wake up grumpy. That can happen too. The bus might be early on occasions, and someone may spill breakfast 5 minutes before leaving. Aligned momentum isn't about creating a system where nothing goes wrong. It's creating a family that knows how to respond when something does go wrong. Instead of you've ruined the entire morning, we practice, okay, this didn't go as planned. What's our next step? That's resilience. And every time your children watch you recover instead of spiral, you're teaching them emotional regulation. So, the one habit every family should start before day one. So, if your family only does one thing before school begins, I would suggest this: a 10-minute evening reset. 10 minutes. That's it. Every evening before everyone settles down, set a timer for 10 minutes. Everyone prepares for tomorrow. Backpacks get packed, shoes go by the door, lunch items get prepared, sports bags get ready, Chromebooks get plugged in, clothes get chosen, and mom looks at tomorrow's calendar. And here's the important part: everyone is participating. Mom isn't running around doing 10 minutes of preparation for everyone else. It's 10 minutes of family momentum. And I love this habit because it teaches something much bigger than school preparation. It teaches small actions today make tomorrow easier. That's momentum. And here's another mistake we make before school starts. We wait until the night before school to suddenly announce, okay, new bedtime, after 2 months of staying up late. Nobody's nervous system appreciates that. So if you can start practicing your school rhythm several days before school begins, move bedtime gradually. Start waking up a little earlier. Practice getting out the door. Start the evening reset. You don't have to pretend you're going to school, but begin giving your family's body and brain cues that the rhythm is changing. Transitions are easier when they're gradual. Our kids are usually in the summertime, they stay up late, they sleep in late, and then that first day of school is like a nightmare. So you start to gradually go to bed earlier and get up earlier. And mom, I want to talk directly to you for a minute. back to school isn't only a transition for our kids, it's a transition for us as well. Our schedule changes, our responsibilities change, our mental load changes, and sometimes we forget to ask, what do I need? Maybe you need a 10 quiet minutes before everyone wakes up. Maybe you need your calendar planned Sunday evening. Maybe you need to stop volunteering for every school activity. Maybe you need to say no to something. Maybe you need help. Part of building aligned momentum is recognizing that your needs belong where your needs belong in the family equation as well. You don't have to exhaust yourself creating a perfect school year for everyone else, because a thriving family needs a mom who has room to breathe. So here's your challenge before school begins. Have one 20-minute family meeting and ask 3 questions. What made last year's school morning stressful? What would make this year easier? What responsibility can what responsibility can each person take ownership of? Then choose one family habit you're going to practice before day 1. If you don't know where to start with a 10-minute evening reset. That's where I would start. And here's the accountability piece. Come back to the comments and tell me what your family's one habit is going to be. Maybe it's backpacks packed at night, no phones before we're ready in the morning, clothes picked out before bed, a 10-minute reset. Whatever it is, write it down. Put it in the comments. There's something powerful about saying, this is what we're going to try. And here's what I want you to remember as school approaches. You don't have to control the entire school year before it begins. You don't have to anticipate every problem. And you don't have to carry every responsibility yourself. We're building something different. We're building community inside our own family. We're creating accountability without constant nagging. And we're choosing curiosity instead of criticism. And we're creating aligned momentum, one small habit at a time. That's how overwhelmed moms begin to stop surviving and start thriving. So if you're new here, subscribe and join our Momentum Makers community, because throughout this back to school series, we're talking about financial stress. You can go back to last week's episode because I talk about that back to school shopping and how that can be very financially stressful for us and some steps to help with that. We're going to talk about some calmer routines, emotional regulation, family connection, and simple ways to make the school year feel different. I'm so glad you have joined us. And if you're already part of this community, thanks for being here. Also, tell me in the comments, what's one thing your family's going to do different before school starts? You don't need 20 changes. Choose one. Because remember, small momentum creates big freedom. Also in the description is my link to a momentum call. You can take a moment, we can chat and see where in your life that you feel that there is lack of momentum or you would like more momentum at. And also in the description is what I talked about last week in the creating that financial freedom, is the link to what I'm building on the side that has been helping with that financial freedom piece. And I don't have to worry about all the unexpected costs that comes along when kids go back to school. So Until next time, thank you for being here, and let's go make small momentum for big freedom.